things aren't coming as easy for you this year. Is that a safe way to look at it? That things aren't.
I feel it's a lot of with schemes. We're going against defenses. They calling out our plays, stuff like that. Like they know what we're doing. So a lot of that, sometimes stuff won't go our way if they beat us to the punch.
So you're hearing on the other side of the line of scrimmage the defense calling out your plays? That's what
they definitely do. Like runs, stuff like that. Watch out for this, watch out for that. Sometimes that's what's going on.
So how do you combat that, Lamar?
So I guess we're going to halftime and let coach, let us know what he sees upstairs, and we just go from there.
And after that exchange between our next guest, Rich Eisen, and Lamar Jackson, the Ravens decided never to let Lamar Jackson be interviewed by anyone ever again. See what you did?
Oh, gosh. You know what, Mike? It was an open-ended sort of question that I think everyone wants to know is why are things looking so much more difficult? And that was the answer he gave, which was honest. And I love the kid. The kid's awesome. And I do hope to have him back on the Rich Eisen show another day.
Well, offensive coordinator Greg Roman downplayed it yesterday, as a coach would be likely to do. He's not going to say, oh, crap, Lamar, why did you do this? But there is something to that. Now, some teams are so good it doesn't matter. You can call out, hey, here's what we're doing. Good luck stopping it. But that's just one of those little things that gives a defense an edge. If they can pick up through film study what's coming, if they know what's coming, and they're yelling it out and they're freaking out the offense, that gives the defense a little bit of a benefit when it comes to stopping what the offense wants to do.
No doubt about it, Mike. And, I had Greg Cosell on my show yesterday and asked him from his all-22 Maven perspective, does he see anything on film that could pick that up, that he's been able to sit there and go, well, the defense certainly blew off the ball on that one and it looked like they might have known what was coming. And his answer was no, that he hasn't seen that on film. But what he does see on film is an offense that he called remedial. Now, that's the issue here. I honestly do not think I've been around Lamar Jackson out, away from the football field. I've been with him, at corporate events that I've hosted. I've seen him around people. I've seen him by himself, in a room where he's not, on. And I don't think this is a guy who's got an agenda at all. Like, he's chafing that the plays are being called in a certain way that the defenses are onto it. So let him, go on a national show and throw his coaches under the bus. I legitimately think he was just innocently just telling the truth. And so I don't see that this is an issue between quarterback and coaching staff. And I do see it as they have a personnel issue potentially in terms of who are defensive coordinators circling that they're afraid of other than Lamar. Maybe it's Mark Andrews. And then the scheme from everybody that I've been talking to who's expert at this is lacking. And maybe this is a tendency breaker that can start with the information that Lamar threw out on my show.
And I agree with you. I don't think it was in any way malicious. I don't think it was calculated. It was just sometimes a guy opens his mouth and the truth comes out. And we're used to a sport where there's always that obfuscation. There's always that lie, because lying is part of the strategy. You don't come out and just lay it all out, what you're planning to do on anything football related. That's what made it so stunning to me.
Yeah, look, like I said, he's taken on New England. New England got a major handful of him and Mark Ingram, who hasn't looked the same this year. And that was last year. And that was essentially the high watermark or the beginning of the end of New England's 2019 season. If you think about it, Miami had a better record after Halloween than New England did. New England went into that game undefeated. So clearly they know what's coming at them. And this would be the worst possible team one would think to face if the defense is aware of what's coming at them. So that's kind of a backdrop to this thing, no question about it. But I do expect the Ravens to win this game. And then, they've got a tough game against, I believe it's Tennessee, before taking on Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving night on NBC is the back end of that triple header, which is going to be amazing. So there's the division is not lost. Lamar is still supremely talented. The question is what can they do to switch things up in a way or be more efficient on that side of the ball that they've definitely had problems doing so far?
Here's the real question when Sunday comes around, Rich. After you and your colleagues on NFL Game Day morning on NFL Network all select the Ravens to win, and after all of us on Football Night in America select the Ravens to win, how long will it take the Patriots to troll everyone if the Patriots win the game?
Well, I don't. Whichever millennial that's running their account, I imagine, or whoever runs that account and maybe feeds Belichick's Nike the dog, or whoever has that role in New England, because that's the way it goes. We all were in that same boat last Sunday night, where we all took the Bucs and the Saints had their fun. Same thing with the Bills' social media account, where everyone essentially industry-wide chose Seattle. Look, I mean, that is the nature of what we do for a living, where we opinionate, and, not all of it works out. And I fully admit that I don't know everything. But that said, I think this past Sunday was the quintessential given Sunday, right? Where anything happens and that you don't expect anything to happen. Sorry, that's my kids and my dogs in the other room. So this is one of those crazy seasons where you really can't figure anything out with any sense of normalcy from anything. Whether it's obviously the way that the Patriots and the Chiefs played a game earlier this year, and then the Titans and the Bills played a game this year, and the Titans and the Steelers played a game this year. Everything's thrown out the window in that regard. And then, honestly, I don't think you can, with any certainty other than Kansas City, say that the given Sunday is mostly going to be theirs, even though they did suffer one of those against the Raiders.
A prominent player encroached on our opinionation turf earlier today, DeAndre Hopkins, suggesting that all defensive pass interference yards should count toward the receiver's stats. I like it. And I may have pondered that from time to time. I never really articulated it, never really made the argument before, but I can get behind this one. I like the idea of, is the spot foul? Give the guy the yards. If he presumably would have caught the pass, go ahead and give him the yards for the defensive pass interference.
Hey, man, as somebody who has both Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins in 2 fantasy leagues, I'm all for it. Last week, when I was noticing that Xavier Howard's strategy was to literally foul DeAndre Hopkins on every play, and that was their strategy. Truly, I know that he had a season low 3 catches or 3 targets or whatever the hell it is. His catch radius is 90 feet wide. He can get open however he wants. I understand that his point is look, I'm not getting the stats because I'm being fouled every play. It's sort of like hack a DeAndre, and that might be a way to work it. But that's another thing that I was pointing out on my show as well, is the other day, is anytime I see Hopkins just snatch the ball out of the air or get open at will, literally at will. And there's not many receivers who can do that. Obviously, somebody like Julio Jones leaps to mind in that regard. How in the hell did the Texans not get a 1 back for DeAndre Hopkins? Honestly, how did that happen, Mike? How? Seriously.
Yeah. And they took a guy that the Cardinals could not wait to get rid of in David Johnson. They wanted to unload that $10 million guaranteed salary. If anything, it should have been a 1+ to take David Johnson and get DeAndre Hopkins back. I agree with you completely. Hey, it's now Friday. Your Jets played Monday night. Adam Gase has not been fired yet. It looks like he's the guy for the duration of the season. How surprised are you that he's still on the job?
Oh, not at all, to be honest with you. It's not like that there are fans in the stands booing their heads off, making it more and more difficult that you have to satisfy, to make sure that the fans still come to the game. There's no fans in the stands. I'm serious. I think that has to play a role in it. The fact that the Johnson family, since they've owned it, have never fired a coach in the middle of the season either. So this is kind of par for the course. As we know, the owner of the Jets is currently serving the current administration as the ambassador to the UK. So I'm imagining that this is going to be something that everybody knows is going to be addressed at the end of the season. You know, what are you going to do? You're going to stick Greg Williams in front of the New York media as the de facto coach for the next 7 weeks? I mean, it makes total sense to just keep this as is. The only issue that it does appear to keep alive is the nonstop drumbeat from members of the media, Steve Young being the latest on Monday Night Football to say Trevor Lawrence should consider not entering the draft this year. You and I have talked about it when you appeared on my show a couple of weeks ago, because the Jets are so clueless, as if the Jets won't fire Adam Gase the first second it is expedient for them to do it, and that this is, with Trevor Lawrence being out there, the only chance the Jets have to get a top-notch coaching candidate. You could pretty much like throw it out there and say, who wants to coach Trevor Lawrence and be attached to Trevor Lawrence's hip in the New York media market to start your career as well as a coach, or somebody who I adore, and I don't know if he'd be interested, but I would write a blank check and tell David Shaw, we want you to come to New York and be this guy to hook up with Trevor Lawrence. Would that be something he'd be interested in? Eric Bieniemy, bring your playbook from Kansas City. Would Trevor Lawrence really say no to that? Also knowing that his team's got a second first-round draft choice that belongs to Seattle's. On top of all of it, it makes no sense that he would turn down being Broadway Trevor because of the fact that the Jets have been so dysfunctional the past few months and years. That's the only thing about firing Gase that keeps that narrative going, but I hope Lawrence ignores it.
I see two wild cards in all of this. You mentioned Woody Johnson. One thing we know is he will be back. We don't know when, but he will be back. And secondly, Peyton Manning is a name that I keep an eye on here, because is there a way, maybe, just maybe, that Peyton Manning could get to Trevor Lawrence and tell him, you'll be fine with Gase, because I was fine with Gase, and look at what I did with Gase. I don't know that there's anything Peyton Manning can say. Do you think there's a way that Peyton Manning could convince Trevor Lawrence to work with Gase?
I think it's a moot point, man. Adam Gase over, man. It's over. It's over. And anybody that, again, I don't proclaim to be an all-22 expert. I am not, okay? I am not. But everybody I talk to says part of the reason why Gase and Sam Darnold is not a good mix is that Gase does bring the Peyton Manning system or sensibility with him. Peyton doesn't like pre-snap motions. He didn't like that. He could walk to a line of scrimmage and know what the defense is thinking before you know it. The fact that the Jets don't run very much motion does not help a quarterback that's still learning how to operate in the NFL. It's insane. Nothing that the Jets do appears to be appropriate or working at all. And that's unfortunate for Adam Gase, but there is no way I would, even if Peyton Manning, even if Archie himself says, look, we did this with Eli, this is not the way you should handle this here either. It's a moot point. There is no way, especially since the general manager didn't hire this coach. He didn't hire this coach. He also didn't acquire Le'Veon Bell. He was left with a whole big stinking pile that I imagine he will take the ability to get his own coach. I don't know who that is, but again, if it is Trevor Lawrence coming for the Jets, it's on. But if it's not Trevor Lawrence, it could be Justin Fields. It's possible that might attract the right coach. They had one in Matt Rule and said he was too green. His staff was too green. So instead they let him go and they let Robbie Anderson go to him. And now we're seeing what Matt Rule and Robbie Anderson would have looked like together. It's bat guano insane. It is terrible. So I understand why people are saying that Trevor Lawrence should avoid this fire that's a dumpster. But I still believe, again, that Joe Douglas, from anybody who knows him, says that he does know what he is doing, that he is worthy of this opportunity. They do have a lot of draft choices. They do have some people that have flashed, but they just get Trevor Lawrence, with all due respect to Sam Darnold, let him go somewhere else. Let him find his next spot that he deserves to find another spot. And I think another team would definitely take him. And you've mentioned the teams too. Pittsburgh being one that might want to go grab him if the Jets want to send him elsewhere. Potentially San Francisco might be interested in him. Other teams are going to be definitely looking for quarterbacks. The Bears, I imagine, will be in the market for a quarterback too very soon. So I think that's the future. I just don't imagine Peyton Manning or any Manning, Archie, Cupper, Eli, Olivia, name the Manning. I don't think there's any Manning that's going to save Adam Gase.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.